Philadelphia 76ers offseason has really been heating up over the past couple weeks. Plenty of trade rumors, plenty of free agency rumors flying around, talking about what the Sixers could potentially do in this offseason. But the entire offseason for the Sixers pretty much hinged on this one decision by this singular player, and of course that player is James Harden. And the decision we are talking about is his decision whether to opt in or to opt out of his $47 million player option for this season. Well, breaking news, recently on Thursday night, James Harden decided to opt out of his $47 million player option for the 2022-23 NBA season. And this means a whole lot for the Sixers moving forward into this offseason. It really gives the Sixers a lot more room to make a lot more moves in free agency and to build their team further around the core of Embiid, Harden, and Maxey. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how James Harden's opt-out affects the rest of the Sixers offseason and what could potentially come heading into free agency later this afternoon as a result of this decision. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so just to start out, the report that came out was that James Harden will be declining his $47 million player option for this upcoming NBA season and will instead look to re-sign with the Sixers on a more short-term, team-friendly contract. Right off the bat, I gotta say, I got a lot more respect for James Harden by making this move at the end of last season. He said he would be back on this team and he would do whatever it takes to win, even if that means taking a pay cut. And that's exactly what James Harden is about to do, as it is being reported by Brian Windhorst on ESPN that James Harden will potentially reduce his salary down to the mid-30s as opposed to his $47 million salary that he was going to be paid this season if he ended up picking up that option. Now, the reason why this is so good for the Sixers and moving forward into the offseason is that it gives them a lot more flexibility in what they can do with potentially signing free agents. For example, the most prominent Sixers rumor that has been floating around over the past couple weeks is that PJ Tucker, the free agent forward from the Miami Heat, will sign a 3-year, $30 million contract with the 76ers. Now, over the past few weeks, there have been questions speculating of how that could potentially happen, as the Sixers did not have enough cap space to sign Tucker to this deal. People were speculating whether they would have to trade assets in order to just make enough cap space to sign Tucker. But now we don't even have to ask those questions anymore, as if Harden takes enough of a pay cut, they'll just be able to sign PJ Tucker outright without having to make any other roster adjustments in order to fit him under the salary cap. So that's number one, is that after this Harden decision, it's almost a done deal that the Sixers are going to get PJ Tucker. There's been multiple reports coming out that multiple rival executives in the Eastern Conference around the NBA would be surprised if this PJ Tucker to the Sixers thing fell through. It's pretty much a done deal that PJ Tucker will be a Sixer close to the start of free agency tonight. And I think this is going to be a great addition to the Philadelphia 76ers. The other thing that makes this so interesting is it is being reported that the NBA will be raising their salary cap up to an increase of $11.6 million. That's interesting, as this can come into play. If James Harden takes enough of a pay cut, PJ Tucker gets signed, all that stuff happens, and the NBA raises its salary cap, the Sixers still have plenty of room to potentially make another addition potentially to the roster and to fill out that bench and add more depth to the Sixers team, something we were lacking in the playoffs last season. PJ Tucker will sign, and they'll potentially have room to sign another player. Now, who that player could be, we're not exactly sure, but it is promising that the Sixers might have enough space to sign another good depth piece. This could potentially be a player like maybe Andre Drummond, bring him back. He was probably the best backup big the Sixers had behind Joel Embiid. You could potentially bring him back if he's willing to take not as high of a salary. You could bring in a player like potentially Gary Harris if he's willing to take a pay cut to play here. Player like Javale McGee you could bring in at backup center. And again, there's still trade rumors floating around out there for Matisse Thybulle. Maybe you could potentially move him for a player like Eric Gordon, which was one of the many trade rumors floating around near the NBA draft. And I'm sure Daryl Morey is still shopping Matisse Thybulle actively, so maybe you could bring him in. There's also reports saying that the Trailblazers and Dallas Mavericks are the two teams to watch on potential trade sweepstakes for Matisse Thybulle. So you could potentially look at a player like Reggie Bullock and say, what could he bring to the Sixers team in a trade for Matisse Thybulle? Or maybe even a player like Josh Hart from the Portland Trailblazers if they were able to do that. And then there's also been reports about a player like Cam Reddish, player from the New York Knicks, who has not really gotten a lot of playing time in his career, hasn't gotten the opportunity to prove what he can do on the basketball court. And I think he's really talented and has the potential to be a really good player in this league. He just has not gotten that opportunity yet. Could the Sixers potentially trade for a guy like him? There's also another player from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Lugentz Dort, who would be a good fit for the Sixers team. That was being rumored to be in potential Sixers trade talks as well. He would be a good fit. He's a 3-and-D player, and he shoots 8 threes per game. There is a lot of Sixers stuff, Sixers news heading into this free agency period starting later tonight, and there's tons of things that could happen. But just to bring it all together, this entire free agency period and the flexibility we have heading into this free agency is because of James Harden's decision to opt out. It was just a really professional, just absolute W of a move for James Harden, not just for him, but for the team. It clearly shows his commitment to the city of Philadelphia and him wanting to win a championship here. And he's showing that he'll do whatever it takes to win. And it was really just a great move by James Harden, and I think he gains a lot of respect by his decision. He's showing that he just wants to win, and he'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. And this decision is going to allow the Sixers to go into this offseason with a lot more flexibility and the potential to upgrade their team around Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, fill out their roster, and potentially go try to win a championship this season. That's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, please subscribe for more Sixers videos just like this and Eagles videos as well. And drop a like down below to help push this video out to other people. And give me your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about this decision by James Harden? What do you think the Sixers are going to do in free agency? And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.